Hey everybody, John here. Welcome to another episode of Itchy Mysteries for today, February 8th, 2018. Thank you for spending some time with me here today. Got a pretty good one for you today. I was kind of excited. It's a little bit shorter than usual. This is a piece that was produced for, I believe it was produced for the Discovery Channel. I can't find great information on it, but I'm seeing a couple references that make me think that it was produced specifically for them. Its runtime is only 45 minutes, which is always usually an indicator to me that it was made for television, so that way they can pump in a bunch of commercials. But this one is called Arctic Manhunt: Hunt for the Mad Trapper. And it is available if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber here in the US. You can watch it for free. It's on Prime. Let's start with the plot summary and then we'll take it from there. In 1931, a stranger appeared out of nowhere in the Canadian Arctic, going on a crime spree of murder and theft. Months later, the North's biggest manhunt was launched to find the culprit, known as Albert Johnson, or the Mad Trapper. The Mounties' efforts to capture him became a media circus. In the hapless search that followed, the fugitive died and his true identity was lost until now. Now, it seems kind of interesting because you're saying, wait, they told us his name. It's Albert Johnson. That was actually just an alias that he was using. We don't know the true identity of the Mad Trapper. And the way this is written, it kind of leads you to believe that you might discover the identity by the end of this piece. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler because really his identity is a small part of what makes this piece great. But I do want to point out, because I don't like to mislead you guys, you don't find out his identity by the end of this piece, but you do find out a ton of information in a really interesting way. What's going on with this piece is they're basically capturing two timelines. They've done dramatic recreations of what was going on in 1931. And what you have there is something that almost reminds me of like the first Rambo movie, First Blood. You've got this guy that's out in the wilderness and they are coming to ask him if he's been stealing meat from traps, basically. And he doesn't want to talk to anyone, obviously, because he's got himself holed up in an 8-foot by 10-foot cabin that he has built. And he shoots a guy that comes to the door. Now, that guy survives that encounter. But then several days later, they come back with more men. And then there's another shootout, and then they all disappear. And then they come back with more men. I think they come back with 40 guys at one point to come and take this guy in. And it's an amazing story because it's not often that I'm watching something like this where we have someone that is a criminal. And, you know, it's kind of tough because we don't really know the extent of his crimes here outside of stealing meat from those traps. And then kind of defending himself, but, you know, I mean, he winds up killing people while defending himself. So he certainly does tread into murder at some point. But you get this very strange feeling of, not that you think he should win, but you just can't believe everything this guy is doing and kind of how amazing he is at it. You find out that the cabin he built for himself, he built double walls. He built all these little holes through it where he could point guns out to defend himself and shoot out of all kinds of different directions. When they bring the big manhunt for him, he actually flees. He winds up covering over 85 miles in 3 days in the Arctic and through blizzard conditions. He makes some amazing climb through a mountain. I mean, it is just... The storyline from 1931 is super interesting, could easily be its own feature film. As a matter of fact, I did look into it. They did make, I think, a TV movie at one point about this story as well. But then you have the second timeline that's going on, and that is in 2007, I believe, where they are exhuming his body, and they are going to look at it forensically and see if they could determine more about him. One of the things is who he is, but also more about the story, about what happened to him. And that part is interesting in its own right. And it really, the way this is edited, where you're cutting back and forth and you're watching him kind of being chased twice, is really, really well done. You're watching him being chased in 1931, and you're watching this forensic team trying to chase the truth in 2007. I really think that just this format in particular of having those two different timelines could have also been turned into a feature film. It's not often that I'm watching something like this and I'm going, man, I don't want this to end. But that was the case here. It was just really, really good. And it's all about the content. You know, it's not I mean, the dramatic recreations from 1931 are good enough. They're serviceable, but it's not great cinematography. It's just good. The soundtrack, I don't even really recall if there was a soundtrack, but it's just there. It's just okay. This is definitely a television production, but the story that's going on in it, the two stories are really, really intriguing. I was basically glued to the screen through the whole thing. So I definitely wanted to tell you guys about it. That's why we're here talking about it now. On IMDB, I see that it's rating a 7 out of 10, and I completely agree with that. I think this is a real sturdy, solid 7. Especially for fans of Brain Scratch out there, just the questions that are brought up as they're looking through this mystery. It's really cool to see the types of forensic tools that they're using and the methods that they're talking about employing. Very interesting, and it applies to a lot of the true crime stuff that we review on the channel as well. So I don't know. If you guys have a spare 45 minutes, I really recommend that you check this out. I think that the story will probably grab you and captivate you as much as it did me. And plus, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, it's free. You can just go there and watch it right now. If you're not a Prime subscriber, I do believe there's a version of it on Vimeo, but I don't think it's legit, let's just say. So I'm not going to include a link to that in the description box below, but with a pretty quick and easy web search, I'm pretty sure that you can find that version as well if you can't watch it on Amazon for some reason. So I hope you guys will check it out. I think you'll enjoy it like I did. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on Itchy Mysteries. I appreciate each and every one of you out there. Hope you're having a wonderful week, and I hope you'll come back to the Lord and Arts channel tomorrow. I've got more for you. I'll see you there.